We're going to get started. Good evening. Welcome to the North Fair Oaks Community Council meeting for the month of October 2018. Victor, if you could take roll, please.
Of course. Chair Everardo Rodriguez.
Here.
Vice Chair Beatriz Cerrillo.
Here.
Councilmember Rosario Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilmember Linda Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Rosario Lopez.
Here.
And Youth Member Yesenia Mendez.
Here.
Thank you. We'll proceed with public comment. Anyone may speak up to 2 minutes on any topic not on the agenda tonight. If you do so, please fill out a speaker slip. They have it on the desk in the back. The council may not discuss or take action on items not on the agenda tonight. And we have a couple of public comment. David Steller. You can please proceed to the podium.
Hi to the council members.
Oh, no, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a timer here with a 2-minute time.
Got it.
Got it.
So my name is David Steller. My wife and I bought a home in the North Fair Oaks area on the 400 block of 6th Avenue about a year and a half ago. And my wife, Jenny Crowell, is a previous member of the community council. And she grew up in the North Fair Oaks area. So we've lived on the block for about a year and a half. I work at the Redwood City Police Department as a police officer. She also works there. And when my neighbors, we got to know each other, and they found out that as I was a police officer, they voiced some concerns about some things in the neighborhood, such as speeders and a volume of traffic and parking issues. And in the time that we've lived there, yeah, I've learned firsthand these are actually valid concerns. So we've worked with Captain Christina Corpus on some of the stuff, and we're going to have a traffic survey done in September. And Captain Corpus actually mentioned that there could be a pilot program for possibly some permit parking, for residential permit parking. So she mentioned that to us, and she said, well, one thing you could do is collect signatures on your block. So we did, and we've collected 18 signatures of homeowners on our block, on the 400 block of 6th Avenue, and everyone seems to be very in support of it. We happen to be in an area where there's spillover parking for businesses on Middlefield Road. There is currently construction on 7th, which might impact us some. But it does seem that there's quite a bit of competitive parking going on in the block, and all the neighbors were very much in support of that. So that's it simply. We have a collection of 18 signatures. I guess I could present that or give that to you if that's okay. We just want to be considered as an option for that program.
Thank you very much. Yeah, if you can pass it on to ourselves.
Sure. Should I give somebody the list of signatures?
Yeah. Okay. Next, we have Janet Davis.
For those of you who haven't been reading the local papers or watching the TV, I wanted to alert you to a business that's trying to locate on the corner of Dumbarton and El Camino Real. This is going to be called Pink Panthers, and they have barely, almost naked women running around serving coffee. The lot is owned by the Hiller family of Hiller Aviation. And it used to have a small prefab Cafino coffee stand. Apparently tonight there was a TV group out there taking movies. If you want to look at some disgusting pictures, check out the Pink Panthers with a Z at the end for Modesto, and you'll see what might be coming to Redwood City. This wouldn't be tolerated in Menlo Park or Palo Alto, and it shouldn't be tolerated in North Fair Oaks. Supervisor Warren Slocum wants input on what people feel about this, and the St. Francis Center is coordinating a letter writing and a petition, and probably they'll have marches and picketing. Also, they want people to go to the Board of Supervisors meeting. I think the next one is September 4th to express their views. When the El Camino ordinances were revised, the process was a total joke, and the residents' concerns were not heeded, and they were treated disrespectfully. If rezoning comes to your area, make sure that your concerns are addressed and that stupid ordinances are not rammed down your throats. What is needed in this instance is an urgency ordinance to prevent that outfit from opening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we will have a presentation. Well, actually, we're going to switch items. Is that correct, Victor? To have the library update first?
Yeah, we'll switch them.
Okay, so we're going to switch items 3 and 4, and we'll proceed with item number 4, which is a library update presentation by Mr. Derek Wolfgren from the Redwood City Library.
Good evening, Chair Rodriguez, members of the council. Nice to see you again. I think it's been about 4 months since the last time I was here to speak with you. I'm excited to be able to share tonight after I don't know how many meetings I came here and said the new Fair Oaks Library is coming. The new Fair Oaks Library might be overdue, that we just didn't have room for, and just the opportunity to refresh the entire library, as well as bringing in new modern furniture, more electrical outlets throughout for people to be able to charge their phones while they're in the library or use their laptops. And so I'm just an 8-year-old produced for us, even down to the level of detail that if you look at Book Boy's boots, there are elements of the City of Redwood City logo in the boots that Book Boy is wearing. So we're happy to have something that's kind of graphical and fun and interesting and created by youth from the community for the library outside. So in addition to the the good news, I did want to share some updates on what's happening with library hours. There's been some movement since the last time we talked. Definitely nothing is set in stone right now as far as what's happening with library hours, but I wanted to give you an update on where things are. So as I think I had mentioned before, Redwood City is addressing some structural imbalances in its budget by a combination of adding revenue and reducing expenditures for the city as a whole. We're looking at a $12 million imbalance that we're going to be at within a few years. Much of that is due to pension obligations that the city is needing to pay off. And so with the current year budget, about $3.7 million was pulled from the city's budget as a whole, with another $2.3 million planned for next year. These are things that impact all of our departments. There were several vacant firefighter and police officer positions that were eliminated, as well as potential cuts to parks and libraries. This isn't showing up quite right here, but the library's share of those cuts for this year was $428,000. That included about $100,000 reduction to our book budget, as well as some small supplies and services cuts, and about $290,000 in personnel reductions. Those translate directly into service hours. We're pretty lean on our staffing and pretty lean on our management staffing right now, and kind of the only place we had to cut was frontline personnel that keep the libraries open. So right now we have reduced several positions in the library, but we haven't changed hours yet, so we have kind of this bridge period where we're waiting to find out what happens with a ballot measure that's going to be on the ballot in November. So the City Council has put a measure on the ballot for a half-cent sales tax. And if that half-cent sales tax passes in Redwood City, then we will not be having the hours reductions. Those will be restored, because that's going to bring in enough revenue to offset some of the expenditure cuts that they were thinking of making. There was an initial plan to go for a little bit smaller sales tax, and when the council saw what the cuts looked like, they decided to go for a larger tax measure so that those levels of cuts wouldn't need to be made. So if the tax, so you've seen last. Someone's angry about the hours reductions. So you've seen last time, and I will remind you what the proposed hours reductions would be for the Fair Oaks Library starting in January if the tax measure fails. But because of that change with the half-cent or the quarter-cent sales tax, I wanted to let you know that, the best case scenario is the measure passes and the hours stay the same. The worst case scenario is the measure fails. The hours that I've already talked with you about go into effect in January, and then in all likelihood there would be even more cuts that would come starting in July in the next fiscal year. So we look at a lot of things when we're trying to come up with library service hours, and I think we talked about some of these last time I was here. Balancing the needs of different constituencies, seniors and families and children and college students kind of all use the library at different times in different ways. We've looked at the data to make sure that we can stay open for the busiest hours of the day. We have some hourly usage numbers that have helped drive our decisions. We want to have something that's kind of consistent and easy for people to remember. We don't want to have, Monday 10 to 7 and Tuesday 8 to 5 and Wednesday 11 to 3. We want to have something that's pretty straightforward for people to remember. Throughout the 4 Redwood City libraries, we're looking at the unique needs of each neighborhood. Although there is some interplay because our staffing, when we have people who call in sick, for example, and folks have to come from the downtown library to cover at Fair Oaks, we have some balancing acts to do with the complexities of how the different libraries relate to each other. We are trying to keep things to a single shift. Right now, the downtown library has some days that are open for 11-hour service days, and that means we have to have a morning shift and a night shift. And so in places where we have that, we've shortened up the days in this proposal. We wanted to keep it as many days open as possible, even if the hours were shorter rather than cutting entire days. And then we did look at, with the limited resources that we're going to have, making sure we had a quality product that's still in the context of Bay Area libraries, that we were going to be open a reasonable number of hours. So I said, I believe I've shared this with you before, but if the ballot measure is to fail, what would happen in January is that the orange hours on this chart, which are current hours, would go away and the blue hours would remain. So we'd be losing a total of 11 hours out of the 50 hours that the library is open per week right now. That would come on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday mornings, that the time period from 10 to 1 would be closed. And then Thursday evenings, we would close at 5 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock. I apologize that the formatting seems to have not translated from my computer to this one. But when we're looking at how we can make the hours cuts, there's only so many different options for how we can cut and paste and switch things around. We could close an entire day, although we chose in our prioritization not to do that. We could cut mostly mornings in order to preserve the evenings. We could cut mostly evenings in order to preserve the mornings, or we can try to do a balancing act to maintain the most open access for all times of day spread out through the week, which is kind of what we went for here. There was some discussion last time about whether we would close on Saturdays as one potential option, and I'm actually really interested in looking, now that we've been reopened for a couple months, kind of updating our usage data and seeing if patterns have changed with the new library. So we'll probably be taking a look at that between now and November, so that if there are any shifts in how people have used the library, that we're responding to that. And then I did want to come back if we're in the position in November where the ballot measure hasn't passed and we are looking at hours reductions. I would be interested in having some sort of a couple options. We could do a town hall, we could do a survey, we can have a number of ways for the community to feed into of all of these options, which ones they would like to see. It was also mentioned last time we were here, discussions with Redwood City School District and how our hours intersect with theirs and what the similarities are there so that we can make sure we're serving the students as best as possible. And we would definitely want to do that. And that's my presentation for you. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Derek. Council members, if you have any questions, please go ahead.
Yes, through the chair. So do you service any of the schools right now?
We do not. We don't have any.
So all the library services at the schools are separate and
Correct.
independent of, okay.
Yeah, that's part of the school district budget. There are some small ways that we have services on campus. Project Read has some tutoring services that I believe are on the Hoover campus. But for the most part, our service delivery on the school campuses is very minimal. That all comes out of the school districts.
What's the connection then with the school district?
I think it's really just the prioritization of students and making sure that we're serving them well and getting feedback from the schools about what they see as needs. Obviously, they're probably going to point to the afternoons and the evenings and the weekends because the students are in school during the day. And so I think that, after school time and where people can go after school is an important thing to pay attention to in the community here. And I'm sure that's what the school district would say, but I don't want to take that for granted. I'd like to have the conversations with them.
And is there still a library foundation?
There is.
And so what's their role in this as far as helping with revenue?
Sure. What the Library Foundation has historically done is to focus on doing the things that really make the library special in terms of adding, like the market truck was an initiative of the foundation. The Technology and the Teen Center came through a partnership between the foundation and the Latino Community Council of Redwood City. So they've tried not to be in a position where they're picking up the slack, so to speak, for the city and delivering basic services. They've tried to focus on making sure that we have the enhancements, that we have basic library services, the collections and the people are paid for by the city, and then the foundation adds on. So they haven't supported staff positions in the past.
And thank you, Derek, for giving a very detailed analysis. It's good information. Thank you.
Certainly.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Rosaura.
I have a question regarding the Spanish books because after the reopen, I went to the library but I saw the books and a lot of Spanish books were missing. I don't know if you're planning to bring more books in Spanish or just English.
We definitely are. One of the things that we did, we took advantage of the opportunity during the 5 months the library was closed to do a very in-depth look at the collection, and we actually weeded out a lot of the materials that had been sitting on the shelf and hadn't really been doing anything, hadn't really been checking out. And that actually hit across the entire collection. There were children's materials, there were adult materials in English and Spanish that we took that opportunity to make sure that we started fresh and had the most popular, most desirable things on the shelf. But we're definitely continuing to buy Spanish language materials are a priority for us here. One of the things that wasn't included in the expansion, we actually really did the expansion to create more space for the people in the library. We didn't particularly add any shelving to be able to make the collection any bigger, because the biggest needs that we were hearing was the space for the teen and more spaces for children's programs and activities to happen. So that's what we focused the additional space on. So the collection is only about the same size as it was, even though the library is bigger now. So it may look a little more sparse because everything is spread out more, but it's about the same size collection that it was before.
Okay. Well,
But I will definitely
Maybe.
take that back. That that the observation was that it seemed like there were fewer Spanish language materials on the shelves, because that's certainly not what we're trying to accomplish.
yeah, because I remember before, in the old library, and it was smaller, I saw more materials in Spanish, but now I see, oh my God, we have a little bit. So, but if if there is the same amount, okay, or maybe to bring some more, because
Okay, thank you for that.
yeah.
Let's hope
Thank
that
you.
it is the summer, reading
There you go.
extravaganza that a lot of people are checking
I
out
love
books,
that.
and that's
That's a
why
great
they're not on
answer.
the shelves.
I wish I'd thought of that.
But I had a couple of questions. The first one is, so the other branches are getting hit similarly in terms of the reductions?
Yeah, for the
Right.
city as a whole, the reduction in hours would be 23%, going from 208 hours per week to 161. The smallest cut is at the downtown library, because that's the biggest and most heavily used. So I think it's 17 or 18% hours reduction at the downtown library. Fair Oaks is 22%. Redwood Shores is 23%, and the Shaberg Library is 30%. And that actually was a very conscious choice that the Fair Oaks Library would be cut less than the overall average, even though it wasn't by much. We wanted to make sure that we maintained a strong level of service here.
And does the Redwood City Library System have a bookmobile or bookmobiles?
We do not, unfortunately.
Oh, no?
Our friends in the county library system do, but we don't have a bookmobile.
Oh, interesting.
We have a bicycle.
Okay. That helps.
Doesn't quite work the same to bring a whole collection, though.
Yeah, that's great. Go ahead, Rosario.
Yes, I have a comment. Looking that the city is having a lot of problems with budget for the library, I don't know if it will be a good idea that the county maybe manages the Fair Oaks Library. I don't know. Anyways, most of the services here in North Fair Oaks are managed by the county. So I don't know if that could be possible.
It's something that I have talked with the county libraries about, and it would be a different service model for them. Currently, while they are responsible for the unincorporated area of the county, they don't actually have any facilities that are located in unincorporated areas of the county. The county library partners with the cities where the libraries are located. So there's kind of a joint arrangement with the cities building the facilities and the county providing the staffing for them and the materials to go inside. So I think that it's certainly something that could be an option, but I know that in the conversations I've had with the county about it, they weren't sure whether it would work with their model and whether the economics would work out for them, for the county to be running it. Right now, the county library does actually pay us a portion of the operating expenses of the library, since we're right on the border of unincorporated and incorporated Redwood City. We've sort of agreed to share the costs since we're sharing the residents. The use is actually about 50-50 between Redwood City residents and unincorporated North Fair Oaks residents of this library. So that is a conversation we've had. That decision hasn't been at any point so far to move it over to the county, but if things get worse in terms of the services that we're able to provide, it's certainly something we can talk about again.
Any other questions? Thank you, Derek.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time. And I don't see any public comment for this specific topic. So we will move on to topic number 3, which was supposed to precede Mr. Wolfram's presentation, and that'll be a presentation by Home Energy Analytics on the Home Intel Residential Energy Savings Program. Presentation by Lisa Schmith, who's the President and CEO of Home Energy Analytics. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you very much for letting me present to the council. I appreciate it. I just want to give a brief description of a program that is available for all your residents and should help them with saving energy and money, and it's available for free. It's a new program from PG&E, and my company, Home Energy Analytics, we manage it for PG&E. It's free for everyone. Anyone can use it that has a PG&E account. It's for homeowners and renters. It's for single-family homes, multifamily homes, apartments, townhomes, condos, and even manufactured homes. So we encourage everyone to try it out. Okay? Oh, I can do that. Sorry. There we go. Just a little bit about how it works. So it combines a web application that anyone can use at home, in the library, wherever it's available for them. Very soon it'll be available on a smartphone too. We're making it smartphone, small screen compatible. So what you do is, what you'll want to do is you go to a web page that I'll give you the address to in just a second. You fill out your name and your email, and then you click on a link, and the link takes you to an authorization pane from PG&E, and they ask for your account number and a phone number, and then they know that you've given us permission to look at the data from your PG&E account. We take that data and we analyze it, and I'll show you some examples in a minute, and then we send you a note and said, okay, we can tell you about your energy use now. So with this information, you can learn things about your energy use and how to save, but you also have access to an energy coach. So this person will contact you and say, do you want to talk about this? Would you like to meet about this? For particularly tricky problems or really high, strange energy bills, the coach will come to your house and help you work through it. We look for things that are easy to fix, inexpensive to fix, hopefully things that don't cost you anything. And it's usually strange things in the house that are going wrong. And an example, we went to a house where a retired couple live, and they were very worried their energy bills were very high. They thought they'd done all the good things. Turns out their heater, their baseboard heater in one of the bathrooms had been on for 2 years. It was broken, and they didn't realize that. So finding things like that, you can save a lot of energy. Our software will help you find them, and then the coaches will as well. So we think this will be very beneficial for residents of the community. We are, PG&E allows us to work with any communities, and we've worked a lot in San Mateo County with the San Mateo County of Sustainability. We haven't done as much work with Redwood City yet, but San Mateo, Menlo Park, we've done outreach there too, so we wanted to bring especially the outreach here to North Fair Oaks. So this is an example of the web page you'd go to. So that's the information you have to enter, pretty straightforward. Then you hit Start Saving, and if you have your PG&E bill in front of you, that's the information you need to get started. This is where you go for your PG&E data. It's just a username and a password, so you're ready to go. And this is what you're going to get out. So this is the information our system produces for you. There's a lot more explanation behind it when you look at it on the website. I just wanted to bring one picture. So this home uses $4,270 a year in an energy bill, and I believe this is a home in San Mateo, so it's pretty close. And you see all those different colored pieces of the pie over on the right-hand corner, and you can see how each piece of the pie, how much that costs. Well, that green portion is what we called always on. So it's running all the time in the house. It's something that's not doing useful work for the resident, but it's just drawing energy. So those are the things we try to help you find and help you reduce your bills by addressing those. And it's usually very inexpensive to do that. And you can see the results immediately. So this is the kind of information we provide, and then we keep tracking the energy use and we show it to the user, and then when they can see, hey, I'm saving energy, or no, I'm not, let me contact my coach and see if they can help. So I just wanted to give you a quick explanation, encourage you all to let your residents know it's something that they can take advantage of, and it's free, and everybody can. You don't have to be an owner, you can be a renter, you can live in any kind of home. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. If council members have any questions, please go ahead.
Hi there.
Hi.
So does your program identifies problems in the home that are using too much, that are causing the bill to go up? Are you actually doing the repairs? Say, for example, you notice a home doesn't have that weather stripping, and that's causing, especially in the winter, that causes cold air, heat, all of that. Are you actually doing the work, or are you sending or referring to a contractor, or how are you, what's the other end of it?
We don't refer to a contractor at all. We try to find fixes for customers that don't require contractors. So if we find a home that is using a lot of energy for heating in the winter, we'll try to work with that person and determine what could be done there.
What if they need new windows?
You know, in this area, they usually don't. It's certainly been promoted that we need to replace our windows. We need to replace, is this still up? Oh, there. We need to replace insulation. That's certainly been promoted by the utilities as the best way to save energy, but it turns out to be very expensive, very time consuming. And as an example, I'm going to walk over here.
Mm-hmm.
This red part of the portion of the pie is what this home is paying for their winter heating. So that's their whole winter heating bill. It's about 15% of their bill. So even if I worked really hard to reduce it, I wouldn't save much energy or money at this home. But if I look at this category, and this is stuff that's just plugged in and always on, it has nothing to do with heating your home. If I work on this, and it's usually things like an entertainment system that's plugged in, and you use a device called a smart strip, it turns the whole entertainment system off when it's not in use. And that will bring this down quite a bit. Maybe this is very popular in this area, this device called a hot water recirculation pump. And it's a little pump that sits inside the home and just recirculates hot water all the time. So when you turn on your faucet, it's hot immediately. That uses a great deal of energy, and a lot of people aren't even aware they have them. So fixing that, it's a timer. It's something that any handy person can do.
Well, that's my question. Are you the handy person to do it? Or
Occasionally.
what's the extent of what you do in the home? That's my question.
We don't sign up to do electrical changes.
Okay.
We
Plumbing?
What?
Any plumbing or?
No, we don't do plumbing.
Okay.
We help people find the fixes and determine how best to proceed, and then determine whether it will actually save them money in the long run or
Okay.
not.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
Go ahead, Beatrice.
What is in the category variable? That's rather high too.
It is. That's things like lights and dishwashers and washing machines. It's things people turn off and on all day. So that one is pretty high. what I would look at there is look at their lights, see, and we can do a little deeper analysis of the lights and some of the reports. Then you break that part of the energy down to hourly use, and you look at different hours in the day and say, oh, if these 2 hours it's really high. What are you using during that time? Because people frequently follow patterns. I mean, not every day is the same, but then they could say, oh, well, what's a good example? I'm not the best person to think of an example, but I turn on this device and it uses a whole lot of energy. Oh, I use the dryer to dry 2 towels at that point. Well, maybe that's not the best use of it. So you're right, that one is pretty high, but I would start looking probably for lights and when things were on at that point.
How do you deduce what energy losses are happening in a home? Is it by crunching the data from PG&E primarily? So you don't do home visits to check around devices or,
Well, to create these charts, we use the data from PG&E. So when you say, yes, you can access my data, you've given us permission to go get it and crunch it, and then we create an account for you that has all this information. So like I said, if this house would be a really good candidate. This is a high energy bill, and it's very high in a specific category that we ought to be able to reduce that category easily, the always on. So yes, a coach could come out to your home and walk around with you and say, oh, I think this is the problem. Some other examples of strange things is a person had a fan in their basement to keep moisture out, and it was supposed to be on a timer, and the timer had broken. So it was just running all the time. Another person had left the fan on in their furnace. When they turned it off for the winter, the fan's running all the time. These are things that people just don't realize have happened, and once you fix them, it can make a big difference. So yes, in this case, going in and looking at the home would be a good category, a good exercise. If they were only spending like $75 a year, we're probably not going to be able to help them very much. We find homes that are already very, very efficient, and we say, you're doing a really good job. There's not much we can do.
And in order to give permission to you to get the data from PG&E, does the user need to create an account with PG&E?
Not now. They before, until this week, they had to. Now all they need is their PG&E bill that has their account number on it and their phone number. And then they can give us access to the data without ever creating an online account with PG&E.
Okay. And so your website walks essentially people through that PG&E permission.
Yeah, the PG&E permission now is very good. We've worked really closely with PG&E to make that easy, and PG&E has been very helpful for us. So.
Okay, and again, is there a cost to the to whoever uses your services?
No.
This is free?
It's completely free. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, as Linda pointed out, if you see that you need like weather stripping and you need to purchase that would be something the user would have to purchase, but the only thing they purchase is devices that they want to put in their home. And frequently it's just things that maybe they can do that will help without buying anything.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Yesenia.
Okay, so I have a couple questions.
Okay.
On the website, are terms like variable, reoccurring, and always on defined for everyone? Or?
Yes, they're very well defined. So I just showed the final thing that you see on the website. So what we do is we ask how many people live in the home, what kind of home it is it single family or multifamily, and then do you drive an EV? Because that's kind of important information. And we ask them to confirm how big the house is because we get that from Zillow. So most of the time that's right. Sometimes it's wrong for apartments. We ask people, make sure this is about right. Then we build this chart for them piece by piece so that we explain what each category means and what can affect it. So by the time they get to this picture, they should have a pretty good feel for what all these things mean.
Okay, great. Also, is this available in any other language besides English?
No, not yet. If we find a contract where we can put the effort in, we would like to. We have developed. Send email reports once a month, and we develop those in Spanish, but the whole thing is not in Spanish.
And then are the energy coaches, do any of them speak Spanish or any other language?
No, but we have people who could go with them and translate. We would get people. We have volunteers. The specific coaches themselves don't, but they would be happy to take along Spanish speakers too.
All right, thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Rosaura.
You said this is for the homeowners and renters. So in the case that someone is renting an apartment, do you have to work with the owner of that place or just with the?
As long as they pay a PG&E bill for their unit. If there's only one PG&E meter for the whole building, then we can't do it. And yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is that common around here? Would you find?
Yeah.
A lot of rentals.
Yeah, basically.
But you know what? I would suggest if you know someone who lives in a facility like that, contact me and we just try it out and see if we can get enough useful information that maybe it will help. I assume these are fairly small complexes. They're not many units. So with small units, we might be able to help.
Well,
But have them contact
it
me.
varies, Lisa.
Yeah.
And our community is about 50% renters
Yeah.
and 70% Latino. So if you don't have the facility to provide bilingual cultural service, it might be important, I think, to go back and get that set up. Because this is a program that everyone should be able to have the same opportunity to utilize.
We would be happy to provide bilingual people to do a workshop and things like that. Actually, making the website in Spanish is very detailed problem for us. We need more money from PG&E or the state or somebody. But we would be happy to work on creating like a workshop for an apartment complex so that people could attend it. We did this in San Jose for a smaller program that we ran, and we recruited energy coaches that could speak Vietnamese, Mandarin, and Spanish, and worked with low-income seniors. So we'd be happy to work with you to do that. We can recruit people that could help coaches, and you'd kind of get a tandem there. But we have lots of people that would like to work on this issue, and we would really like to help this community because we do think it's valuable too, because it should be very, very low cost for them to implement. But yeah, I'm dead serious. Let me know if we'd like to set up a workshop. We would come in, we would help people register, we'd walk them through it. Once you give us access to your data, or they give access to the data, it just takes a minute or two for their account to be created. Then we can sit with them and walk through it. Then we can do some training. We're happy to do that.
That would be nice to have you contact information.
Excuse me?
That would be nice if we can have you contact information to contact you.
We would,
yeah. Share the information with the community.
Yeah, we would like to do that.
Yeah, and last time, I believe it was perhaps last community meeting, Mr. Tuleya came by and he introduced himself only to me at the end of the meeting, and he gave me a packet with, flyers and additional information that I can share, with any of you who's interested. But if you have any additional packets, I'm sure they would be interested in getting one to pass it on to other people.
So who would be the best person to coordinate an education day or a workshop? Is there someone who would like?
So I'm already in touch with Mr. Tuleya, so we can talk it over and see how that may pan out, and when, what would be the best approach to disseminate this information to a larger audience, and then we'll let you know.
Cool. Well, yeah, we'll all be out there to help.
Thanks very much. We appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I don't see any public comment for this item either. So we will move on to the next item in the agenda, which is the reports to the council, and we will start with the supervisor's report. Let's see, Irving Torres is here.
Yeah, good evening, council members. It's great to see your happy faces. My name is Irving Torres. I'm a senior legislative aide for Supervisor Warren Slocum, and I'm here to report on behalf of the supervisor. So a couple of things. We wanted to kind of just also brief the council members on some kind of like county stuff. So one of the things that the supervisor wanted me to inform you all about, kind of some departures and some arrivals. So one of the departures is that the director for behavioral health and recovery services is no longer going to be director. He's left the position, and there's going to be an interim director. And when that interim director is still being determined, so when that happens, we'll notify the council members of that update as well. So a couple of events that we've had in District 4. On July 31st, the supervisor had the honor to basically, acknowledge all the participants for the Community Emergency Response Team, which is CERT. It was a graduation. Basically, it was a 8-week program taught in both English and Spanish to 39 residents in North Fair Oaks to learn about disaster preparedness skills so that they could be leaders in their neighborhood to respond and to recover from disasters. So I want to acknowledge my colleague, Maggie. She did a tremendous job of recruiting and basically coordinating this whole 8-week program. So the next event that we also had was on August 10th. Marcy and Maggie and volunteers from the Sienna Youth Center went down to Middlefield and basically participated in a mural basically by the street artist Jose Castro. So basically they helped paint, and there was also an educational component behind that. And, we're looking forward to the completion of that mural project. So stay tuned for that. And then on August 11th, the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office hosted a disaster preparedness day at Fair Oaks Community School. So that was an opportunity for North Fair Oaks residents to basically just sign up for SMC Alert, as well to know about just kind of other resources and programs that the Office of Emergency Services provides to the residents. And then a block away was actually a block party that the sheriff office hosted. And so it was basically to build community and also just to engage with the community members and kind of know what's been going on. So I want to acknowledge Captain Corpus for kind of really organizing and coordinating that effort. And so those were some of the events that we had. And then now on to NFO projects. So one of the things I just want to remind the council is that there's still that Middlefield Junction proposal that's out there, and the deadline to submit the proposal is October 15th. Heather Peters, Department of Housing, had what was called like a bidders conference. So basically developers who were interested in basically submitting a proposal went to this meeting and basically asked any questions about the proposal. And so Heather was able to inform them, and Heather informed the supervisor that a total of 9 developers attended this bidders conference. And so, we're looking forward to seeing those proposals. And the deadline is October 15th. And then TE connectivity. So the representative, the government relations for TE connectivity has reached out to Planning Commissioner Manuel Ramirez to have some conversations. And what TE Connectivity wants to do sometime either next month in September or October is to host an open house / community meeting to get the community members informed about what kind of mitigation, noise mitigation, actions they implemented in the facilities, and then also answer any questions that residents may have. So as soon as that date is finalized, I will make sure to extend the invitation to the North Fair Oaks Community Council. Also, as far as the Livable Streets project, so I just got an email from Joe Lococo this evening informing me that the person from Redwood City that was working on that project has since retired. And so it's been a pause at the moment, but pretty soon they're going to ramp it up again, and which means that basically the city of Redwood City and along simultaneously with the Board of Supervisors is going to basically approve basically all the comments, from the three communities about the next steps of implementing the Livable Streets project. So that's going to be pretty soon, and that's going to be in the next couple of months or so. And then the final update I wanted to mention at the request of Chair Everardo Rodriguez was about Pink Panthers. And so the only update I want to just inform the council members is that it's still being processed by environmental health. And so that's kind of the only update I can give to the council members is that it's still being processed, the permit, which is basically the change of ownership. And so because it's a food service, they have to apply to environmental health for that change of ownership application. And so that's still being processed by environmental health. So that's all I have to report for tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks very much, Irving. That was a good update. We appreciate that. And if council members have any questions, please go ahead.
On the Pink Panthers development, so are there any, what's the correct term? Is it going to follow the zoning regulation?
I mean, it's
not being defined as a adult entertainment business, correct?
So basically a certain attire, so basically.
The dress regulation?
Yeah. So, but as far as like the structure overall, they're in compliance. And so basically they're serving the same purpose as Cafino, which is serving coffee. So they're in compliance in terms of the zoning regulations and that aspects of it. But as far as the attire goes, there's a certain criteria that if they didn't meet these criteria, then they would be classified as adult entertainment, and so that would be a different category.
Well, they would then not be eligible to establish a business because that is in the zoning update. No new adult entertainment business can get started in that area.
If I may, through the chair.
So I'm just trying to figure out,
Sure.
I mean, is it going to go through or not?
Right. So as we reached out to the owner and asked him to send us a photo depicting what the employees would be wearing while serving coffee. The photo that we received depicts an employee who's clothed in a way that would not lend itself to a cabaret type of atmosphere, therefore would not be adult entertainment. So it would be legal and conforming under the zoning regulations that we have now. I can tell you that photos that we've seen in the past certainly do not and rise to the level of a cabaret, which would invoke the adult entertainment. And you're right, Ms. Lopez, that it would not be allowed to be located in that area. So this is something that we're going to be watching very closely. If this establishment does in fact open, they're going to have to report with the attire that they exhibited to us, and which will be required for them to stay in business. And we'll have code compliance following up on that if in fact they do open.
And somewhere, I don't remember who mentioned, but, I guess it was Janet. So is the Board of Supervisors going to discuss this at the September? Is it on the agenda or?
No, it's not on the agenda.
She was just saying to show up at the meeting to.
Yeah, voice your opinion because that's when the next Board of Supervisors meet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Irving. So Livable Streets, we had heard that, I forgot her name, was gone months ago. And so we're just waiting now for the new person to come on board. Is that it?
That is my understanding based on the email that I received from
Pick up where
Joe.
we left
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Okay.
And so.
I haven't, if we could, if not tonight, at the next meeting, could we get an update on what the city of Atherton, what is going on with the county and the city of Atherton? We went through about 2 years of discussion on El Camino improvements, and then they basically dropped the ball, people dropped the ball. So can we pick up the ball and get a status report on that?
Absolutely. I
Whether we're
was.
going to move forward or whatever, or not,
Yeah.
but something to close, either continue it or close the book on that one.
Yeah, I was hoping the same email that Joe sent me that he was also going to give that update, because I did ask for that update in terms of the
And
crosswalk.
One last question. The Redwood Junction, maybe other people have other knowledge and understanding. I still don't know what the plan is. I've heard that there's going to be housing. I don't know how many units. Can we get an update on what's being proposed? The council has pretty much been left out of the loop on that whole thing. And my second question is there any kind of a community oversight group that is working with Supervisor Slocum on the Redwood Junction development? Those are my questions.
So what I'll do for the council members is I'll send the link of the proposal, because it does kind of specify what's being proposed, which is 100, affordable units, a child care facility, and a couple of other things too. So what I'll do is I'll send the link, but then I'll also highlight some summaries in case you don't want to read this, gigantic RFP proposal. But that would hopefully provide some information to the council members. And if you have further questions, please feel free to send an email back for additional questions, and I'll be happy to just basically talk to the supervisor or any other departments that are working on the RFP.
I'm sorry, what about the community oversight?
Well, I'll also reach out to Heather Peters and see how that whole coordination is going to work out too.
Thank you, Irvin.
If there's no other questions, I do just want to say one announcement. And
sure.
As you know, Yesenia was our intern for the summer. And so let's give a round of applause to Yesenia. And I just have to say, Yesenia, you did an outstanding job for our office, and not to mention just kind of how much you've grown on the council as well. I mean, I think part of just the excitement about having a youth member is just seeing the growth from each of the youth members. And, I think I say this, just everyone's in agreement in that. When you gave that report about that whole flavored tobacco ban, and that was just pretty amazing. I know when I was your age, I could have never done that. So it's just kind of an acknowledgement to, what type of person you are. And, I'm looking forward to seeing all great things from you as you head off to Mills College. But on behalf of the supervisor, and the rest of the board of supervisors, we want to give you a certificate of appreciation for all the hard work, not as our intern, but then also as a North Fair Oaks youth member as well. So thank you so much, Yesenia, and here's the certificate.
Yes, I would like to add also our gratitude, Yesenia, on behalf of the council. We appreciate, the efforts that you put in and the time. We know that it's difficult to juggle, all the homework and other responsibilities, and in addition to participate as a council member. We commend you for it, and we appreciate your time. Congratulations, and best of luck in school. Again, thank you, Irving, for the report. Appreciate it. And next, we'll have county manager's report.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a couple quick updates. Middlefield Road is nearing a completion in the design, so I think it might be time to bring that back to all of you to see where they're at and some of the design features and the timeline, which will be very important as we start rolling that out to the public and working with the public, especially the business owners, to make sure that they're aware of potential timelines of construction and how that may impact them, and as we work together with them and have special meetings with them to make sure that we limit those impacts. Additionally, the PUC lot is nearing completion as far as the design, and we're just waiting for the PUC to go ahead and sign off on that so we can start getting that out for a bid for construction, and that I think will add 13 more spots to the parking. And then I had a great opportunity to get the team together, code compliance, and Mr. Monowitz as the director, and some other members of building and planning, to drive around North Fair Oaks the other day and really kind of take a look and see what was going on. I was pleasantly surprised and pleased to see that there was very little illegal dumping. Now, I don't know if they just went out before me and cleaned it up just so it looked that way, but I was very surprised and happy to see that the streets looked very, very good. The sidewalks looked good, and the areas around the cameras really looked good also. We'll also be putting up a camera on the new parking lot where the mural is. So we'll be in the process in the next couple of weeks of putting that up. I'd also like to say that, today was more of a day of reflection for me, as this is my last meeting with this council as I prepare to move into a new role. And, when I started several years ago with this council, we looked very different in North Fair Oaks, and we had Ellie and Ashley, and then Jennifer, and then Maggie, who have all left us and moved on and done some great things. And now we have Ivan and Mitzi, and they're doing such a tremendous job, all this young energy. And we have Emma Gonzalez leading now called Community Affairs, and just doing just a fabulous job, really so dedicated to the community, all these young people, so dedicated to the community and so connected to the community on outreach. And certainly Victor, who also is leaving us for a job with Half Moon Bay, and we wish him the very, very best. He's been here almost 3 years now and done such a great job, and really has taken a leadership role in North Fair Oaks and in community affairs. And I just want to thank you, Victor, for all your work in putting these meetings together and being so diligent and following up and doing such a great job. And I certainly can't leave out Melissa, who's provided us such great legal analysis, not only here, but on her daily work that we get to interact with her on. Is she just such a terrific, has such a terrific legal mind and does such a great job of analysis, so calm and cool all the time. It's just terrific. And I certainly would be remiss if I didn't thank Irving also. I mean, what a great job he has done throughout the years in being the voice of District 4 when the supervisor couldn't be here. He's always there when you need him and cares so much about this community. And every team has a quarterback, and I've got to say Supervisor Slocum has been that quarterback. I have never met somebody who cares so deeply about a community and really believes that all our jobs are to effectuate positive change in dealing with quality of life issues in this community. And I've just been so inspired by him. He has motivated me. I sent you all that email with that story he told me when I first got here about that laborer who showed up and just asked for the sidewalks to be clean so his daughter could ride her bike on the sidewalks around their neighborhood. And that just so impacted me and still impacts me. And that's what motivates, I think, a lot of us. So I want to thank him for his leadership throughout the years and for inspiring all of us to do such a great job. And lastly, I want to thank all of you. I mean, it's not easy to sit up there and make decisions and give of your time the way you have. And at least 3 of you have been here since, long before I got here. I mean, it's amazing the time that you have put in, and for our newer members, the time that you have all put in, and how you care and really think about these issues and ask incredible questions. And for Ms. Mendez, who's the youngest member of this council, but certainly someone who's given such a tremendous amount of time and energy to the council, and with all your other responsibilities in school and worrying about going to college, that is to be so admired, and I wish so many more young people would emulate what you have done in stepping up and giving of their time at such an early age. But it has been nothing short of an honor for me to work with all of you, and I want you to know that I will continue to hold North Fair Oaks near and dear to my heart. I believe that you all are making a difference. And so no matter what time you've put in volunteering, know that it is so worthwhile, because you are effectuating change in this community. Positive quality of life issues are being addressed. And I just want to thank you so much and say my door will always be open to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gallagher. I'd like to ask all of you to give Mr. Gallagher a round of applause. I think on behalf of the Council, North Fair Oaks Council, I would like to wish you the very best. We have seen very positive changes in the community, and we truly appreciate all those efforts that you have put, and the teams that you have created, the NRT team, and, all the work that you have done with Info Forward. The changes are visible, and I don't believe that, that the crew went out just to clean it out so that you could see it clean. I think I've seen some positive changes also around the neighborhood, and I agree with you, about Mr. Slocum. I think we have seen the work of previous supervisors here in this community, and nothing parallels his work, and the teams that he has been put together. It has been tremendous for this community, so we really appreciate it. On behalf of the council and on behalf of the North Fair Oaks community, we appreciate your time and your efforts.
Thank you much, Chair Rodriguez. And if I may, I'd love to introduce my replacement, with your permission.
Of course, please.
It's with great pride that I introduce to you Ileana Rodriguez, who is nothing short of tremendous. A long-time employee with the county, was our star director in charge of the Human Services Agency before coming to the county manager's office as a deputy county manager. I think that you will find her nothing short of delightful to work with, so dedicated, and so smart, has so many great ideas, will far surpass anything I've ever done here. So I'd like to ask Deputy County Manager Rodriguez to come up and maybe introduce yourself and just say a few things. I don't want to put you on the spot, but that would be terrific.
Good evening, Council. As County Manager Gallagher mentioned, I'm Ileana Rodriguez. I've been with the county for 30 years now in various capacities. I started as a Spanish-speaking caseworker at the district attorney's office, an intern back then. So Yesenia, when you go to college, remember we've got internship programs. I worked my way up and became a program manager at Child Support, director of Child Support, and more recently did a stint through the Social Services Agency as their director. I'm quite familiar with the South County, having spent time working with the community-based organizations here in North Fair Oaks. Actually, one of our offices is just across the parking lot here. Familiar with some of the issues the community is dealing with in terms of housing and just the homelessness, the displacement, and what have you, and just the services that the community needs. So I'm looking forward to serving in this new capacity with the council and supporting you. Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you.
And finally, council member reports. If anybody want to report on anything, please go ahead. I suppose I can get started. We created a small committee to interview potential council members to fill 2 adult seats and 1 youth member and 1 alternate youth member. So far, we have interviewed. We interviewed 3 members of the community, and it has been decided that 2 of those interviewees will be joining the council, hopefully in September. 1 youth member and 1 adult, and so there's still an opening for another adult council member and an alternate youth member. So the application is still open until, I believe, September 7 or 17th. I can't remember. But if any of you know any community member that lives in North Fair Oaks or works in North Fair Oaks, even if he or she does not live here, that qualifies to be part of the council, so please invite them to submit an application. And hopefully we will have a complete team by September. So let me think, what else? I think that's about it for now. I don't know if any of you have any other, anything else that you might want to report. All right, so we knew this was going to be a short meeting, so with that, we can adjourn. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody, and thanks again, Mr. Kalagi.